Good everyone and welcome to this video, and today we have the return of the top 5 list. This is something I've not done in a while, and to be honest, it's because I kind of forgot about it. And well, if you've been around the channel for a while, you know I tend to forget some things, and well, this is just one of them, unfortunately. So today we're going to be bringing back the top 5 with a top 5 float planes. Now, of course, this will be my personal opinion, so just bear that in mind and everything. So if you see a float plane on this list that you think should be higher, remember this is down to personal opinion, as with the other series or part of the series as well. So in the description below, you can obviously skip ahead to things like the Honourable Mention, which, spoiler alert, is displayed on the screen. Obviously the top 5 aircraft that are featured and everything. And one thing I'd like you all to do is, in the comments, I would like to see some more suggestions, because I think it's about time we revive this, because I know you guys actually kind of like this, so why not ask to see if you want to see anything specific. Obviously, we've done things like top 5 large caliber aircraft, Shermans, and obviously now we're doing float planes, so let me know what you think in the comments below, and just let me know. So starting us off, we have the Honourable Mention, which I'm sure is going to ruffle some feathers, but, well, it's just a matter of fact. The PBY-5 Catalina. This also applies to the 5A, because I'm not going to feature two different variants in the list. These planes are generally quite relaxing to fly. They have pretty good armament, pretty good overall, capability, great bomb load. It's just, we've got too many of these things in the game right now. You obviously remember my PBY-5A late review for France, and, well, that was the straw that broke the camel's back, unfortunately. I just think we need some more original float planes that aren't event vehicles, and I'm not being fully right, Italy's still missing one, so, well, one that isn't the RO44, because that thing's not great, shall I say. But yeah, this is just not good, and heck, I think even China's missing a float plane. There's a lot of potential float planes and a lot of, potential things that can go into the game, but Gaijin just aren't bothering. They care so much about top tier jets and breaking the meta and all that jazz that they just forget about everything else. There's even a jet powered float plane that I've seen built by the Brits. Well, I don't remember its name, but there is a jet powered boat, pretty much. But yeah, the Catalina, whilst I do enjoy it, is one of those planes that I wish would just stop being added. I'll be honest. It's one of those kind of things, unfortunately. So, without further ado, let's get into the top 5 list and let's see what else we've got. See you in a moment. Coming in at number 5, which I am fairly certain is going to ruffle some feathers, but I'll explain why this is here in a moment, and it's not its own fault. It's because of Gaijin's laziness is why this plane is here. We have the Swedish, or should I say Finnish, because there is a unlockable Finnish skin for this, AR196A5. Now, obviously, we don't have this one in the German tree. This vehicle at the moment is currently unique to the Swedish/Finnish tech tree. Now, before anyone asks, I have not grinded out the camouflages for this because, well, 250-kilogram bombs and you want that much in tonnage? Yeah, no thanks. But the original skin looks nice anyway. The reason why this aircraft is here is because whilst the tailgun is correct, which is twin MG81s, the fact is that Gaijin have given this thing pretty much the copy-paste armament of the A3, forward-firing anyway. This thing should have MG FFMs in the wings, which would really make these guns potent. I think it also had a better engine, but not by much, and, well, the 792 was the same. There was also increased armor for the crew, which, as you can see, this vehicle is not present with any at the moment. And from what I know, it's been submitted to the devs for over a year now, and they've still not done jack shit. So that should tell you how much Gaijin cares, and, well, that also shows how much I don't fly this thing, because if this thing had the FFMs, I would actually be using it just to get the bombs and the camouflages unlocked, but until then, and even then, the bomb load is also wrong, by the way. It's supposed to be able to carry 4 100-kilogram Finnish bombs. It can carry this, but it's supposed to be able to carry basically the same bomb load as the Pyramirski, so Yeah, Gaijin, get your head out your ass, fix this thing, and then I might put this in the top two, maybe top spot. But until then, there's still a crown for that, so to speak. So without further ado, let's move on to number 4. Coming in at the number 4 slot, we have the HE115C1. This is actually a relatively new plane, and obviously I've reviewed this plane plus the Swedish T2 on the channel, well, the Finnish T2. And I quite enjoyed this plane. It's definitely very potent in what it can do. It's got good coverage with its guns. It's got a forward firing 15mm MG151 and also a 7.92, which can also help out. And its bomb load is actually not too bad. It has two Flam C250 incendiary bombs, which is the bomb load you should be taking. And it can kill roughly 2 bases. It can't kill exactly 2 bases from when I last flew it, but that was quite a while ago. They might have changed it. But this plane combines pretty alright flight performance as well, like, not in terms of top speed, but its actual handling isn't too bad. Now, of course, its fuel load is higher than the Swedish one because it's actually got a gun it can use, and Kaijin wanted to nerf it. But it gets 200 rounds, which is pretty decent. You get multiple 7.92s covering the forward and the back, and then you get a couple in the wing nacelles, the engine nacelles, I should say. Which, spoiler alert, I've not killed anyone with these, but the extra rearward firepower is definitely appreciated. Whilst it is not very well armoured, as you can tell, and it is quite a large target like the Catalina, this plane definitely does have a lot going for it in terms of its capability. And like I said, you can carry 250 incendiary bombs, 250 regular bombs, a 500kg bomb, or a torpedo. It's pretty versatile, and if you've run the air targets belt, it's pretty potent in its ability. And one thing's for certain, this plane is definitely one to watch out for. It would be higher on this list, but yeah, there's just something a little bit better. And, well, that's going to be running gag as we go through. Let's move on to number 3. Coming in at number 3, we have the BV138C1. You might have seen this coming, but this plane would be higher, but we need more variants of this thing before I jump to that conclusion. This thing is actually quite a well-armed float plane for its BR. It's 1.7 and it actually has two 20mm cannons. One mounted in the nose over here, one mounted in the tail over here, and then you have a 13mm machine gun up here. Now there is a lot of dead zones, which is what lets this thing down quite a bit, and its bomb load isn't great, which is just 650kg bombs, but which does come stock at least. They're not going to make you fly a bomb with no bomb load, I guess. But it's pretty tanky, to be honest. Like, it's got 3 engines for enough. You won't fly well missing 2. But this plane is not too bad. Like, you get decent coverage with the 20mm for the most part. You get decent overall coverage with the 13mm machine guns. And it's not bad at all. It is a bit of a fire risk, because obviously these are diesel engines, for those that don't know. And for some reason, Gaijin makes aircraft diesel engines extremely flammable. I don't know why, because diesel's not as flammable, but that's Gaijin for you. But of course, its lack of armor is another thing. It can't take too many hits. If it takes it in the centerline area, it's fine. But obviously that's where one of your 20mm gunners is, so that's something to consider. But overall though, this plane is really decent, and, well, whilst it is decent, and it can probably melt the aircraft in the number 2 slot, I still prefer the number 2 aircraft. So, let's go check it out. I'll see you all for number 2. Coming in at number 2, we have the Honey Badger, as we nicknamed this thing, or as the Germans nicknamed it, the Flying Porcupine. We have the Sunderland Mark III-A. I've actually seen this aircraft up close and personal in RAF Duxford. At least I think it was a Mark III. No, it was Mark V, I think, but they're pretty much the exact same aircraft anyway. And this thing is gigantic, and it is incredible how it even gets into the sky with how big it is. Like, it's not the biggest plane I've stood under, but this thing is huge. And to make up for that size, it is covered in guns. We have a quad mount 7.7 turret with 1,000 rounds each. That's per gun, bear in mind. We have a twin Browning machine gun up here with 1,000 or 500 rounds per gun. We have a twin-mounted 7.7 turret here, and we also have 4 pilot-controlled 7.7 Brownings. Now, the reason why the Mark V is not on this list is because of it getting constant up tiers to 3.0. But that pretty much takes it one step further and cuts out more holes in the side of the aircraft to add even more guns, 2 of which are 50 cal. You can imagine giving some poor sod a full broadside of this thing, especially when it's an enemy bomber. And then, of course, you've got the 7.7s for the pilot to use. And whilst its bomb load does fall short, obviously now it has sap bombs, but these aren't very good. Its bomb load is a little bit crap, which is the only real limiting factor other than the no armor. But look how much dead space there is in this thing. There's a reason why we nicknamed this thing the Honey Badger, because it just takes the hits, doesn't give a shit, and then just slaps you around the face. It really is just such a terror on the battlefield. And like I said, the only reason why it's not in the number 1 spot is because this thing rips its wings way too easily. If you're maneuvering this thing far too harshly, it definitely can rip its wings. Its speed is obviously one of the better ones on this list, actually, at around 240 miles an hour. But the one in the number 1 spot, I'm fairly certain Hare would crucify me for if I didn't bring it up. So, let's go take a look at the king of the list. Number 1. See you shortly. And finally, we come to the number 1 slot. Obviously, if you jumped ahead here, I don't blame you because this is a good one. We have the infamous, as one of Mags' old mates used to call it, the Canoe of Destiny, the Boat Zero, the A6M2N. This thing is notorious for its antics, to say the least. It's a 2.30 laden down with the floats, but you can actually break them off. What that means is you essentially get a 3.70 at 2.3. Now imagine that in a down tier. Yeah, this thing's pretty cracked. Now it is a bit buggy with how it can get rid of those floats, but the short answer is it is well worth the investment. Once you learn it and once you get used to it, this thing becomes an absolute terror. So, not only that as well, it also gets an air spawn, because obviously it is a float plane. Not a very high air spawn, but it's still an air spawn nonetheless. You also get to keep the two 60kg bombs, which these drop single now, so you can actually kill some ground targets with these. But you still keep the original armament of the A6M20. Two 20mm Type 99 Model 1s, which are very effective at the moment, and are very nasty, to say the least. And then you have the two 7.7mm Type 97 machine guns, and these are just as nasty, to say the least. It's like, as long as you place the shots well, is what I'm trying to say. But even these guns can get kills quite reliably, and with the new severe damage mechanic, even if you don't directly get the kill, you'll at least get a severe damage because of just how good you can pinpoint these shots. Once you get rid of the floats, this thing is an absolute nimble little bastard, and trust me, this thing will make you happy. Obviously, comparing it to the other float planes on the list, this is actually the second lowest bomb though, because obviously the Swedish one doesn't have its correct payload, but what it makes up for in its lack of payload, it makes up for in its versatility and effectiveness. This is definitely the king of all float planes for the moment. Whilst the Sunderland would probably take it for some players, I've always had a soft spot for the Boat Zero. Probably because I've known the Boat Zero longer than the Sunderland, but, you know, it's just one of those things. And plus, if I put the British airplane at the top of the list, you'd probably think I'm biased or something. So I don't want to deal with that. But anyway, I really hope you enjoyed seeing the top 5 float planes list. Obviously, as I say, leave your suggestions for top 5s in the description. Well, in the description, you guys can't do that. You know what I mean. In the comments below. And obviously I will get around to some of them eventually, so just leave them in the comments and just let me know. But anyway, I'm going to leave you to it for today. Really hope you enjoyed seeing the top 5 float planes list plus the honourable mention, and I will see you all on the next one.